What is going on YouTube? And we are back with another one. So today's video is going to be a little something special. I had to go get the goddamn Harley out of storage just for this video. So today I'm going to show you guys my Harley, my little wheelie setup Harley. It's a Sportster. Yes, so if you are a Harley guy, I will take whatever you're dishing because I know you're going to be talking shit about it being a Sportster, but that's fine. But let's get right into it. I'm going to show you guys. I kind of go over like if you're going to get into wheeling Harleys, what you would want to buy, what you don't want to buy. And then I guess that'll kind of just be like a guide as to how to set up your Harley. And this will work for Sportsters, Dynas, if you're wheeling baggers, if you're on that level. But let's get right into it. Oh my God. So let's get right into it. This right here is my 1996 Harley Davidson beautiful Sportster 1200S. Now, if you're getting into the new game, if you're into the Harleys, if you're into the Sportsters, there are three different types of Sportsters. There's the 883, which is the beginner, which is the very low 883cc. Then there's a 1200, and then for a little period of time, they made the 1200S, 1200XL, and all that stuff. So those are majorly, you could look at the two differences. So it's the 883 and the 1200. Now, this being the 1200S, the main difference between this and a regular 1200 was the front dual disc brakes. So if you are a Harley guy and if you know about Harleys, the Sportsters usually come with a single disc, right? However, the Dynas came with the dual disc, and honest to God, it gives you so much more stopping power, especially if you're going to get into doing like rollies and, you know, all the other good stuff. And so you need to utilize that front brake a lot. The dual front disc really helps. So if that's something you want, something you need, then the 1200S might be the right option. But let's get into the next thing. Now, I know it's going to be hard to tell. However, the other difference is that these come with the dual plugs. So the 1200Ss have the dual plug and then your front suspension, right? I know it's hard to tell. Shout out to Casey. I know it's hard to tell. However, this is adjustable. So on the 1200Ss, the front suspension is adjustable. You can make them soft, make them hard, depending on how you want to ride. Now, what do you need to do to set this up to be able to wheelie? Can you just wheelie a Harley right out of the dealership? Can you go to the dealership, put some money down, say, hey, listen, I want to make 500,000 payments of $600 each, and can I wheelie this right off the lot? Yes and no. Yes, if you're really good. No, whatever, we can try it. But let me tell you what you should buy if you want to make it a little easier for yourself, and which is kind of what I did. So let's get into it. Now, out of all the things that I'm going to mention, honestly, the only thing you really need if you do want to be able to if you do want to be able to wheelie one of these, this is going to be your best friend, okay? Believe me, before I bought this seat, I used to just have the regular, just one-seater. Then I had the little step 2 seat. And honestly, if you don't buy one of these, it doesn't have to be a Saddleman. I'm just saying it has to be like something with a good back on it. So when you do wheelie, you're not sliding off. And I'm telling you right now, if you have a stock seat, you're going to slide off. And that is not where you want to be, because then you're going to be hanging on for dear life. You're going to be whiskey throttling. Your foot's not going to be on the rear brake. And you're going to be, I don't know, past 12 o'clock and you'll be doing whatever. And then next thing you know, you're laying down and you're laying on your back with a Harley on you. So, and that's not where you want to be. But next thing, the suspension is very important. So on this, I have the progressive 13.5-inch. And you can tell these are a lot higher. So we're pretty much monster trucking this thing. However, if you are into wheeling and you do know anything about these Harleys, these are the suspension that everyone goes with. So it's either 13.5 or the 14-inch. And what you don't want to do is you don't want to have your Harley be low. So you don't want to go with anything that's going to lower the bike. I mean, if that is what I'm sure you could do it. I'm just saying that's not what I did. And honestly, this is pretty much the most comfortable setup for me. And this thing rips. It comes up super easy. So you definitely want to get stiff suspension. The Progressives are definitely a great brand, so go with that. If you know, they're somewhat affordable as well, so that's not bad. Go with the 13.5. You can buy that for your Sportster, buy that for your Dyna, whatever. And then honestly, all the other stuff is kind of just like a preference. But if I had to choose three things, right? So we did the seat, we did the suspension, and the next thing is going to be the handlebars. Now, why do I say the handlebars? It's because if you do have a setup where you have ape hangers, the apes are going to move around a lot, even though these move because I have rubber bushings compared to where most people just run the solid bushings. So if you are going to change your handlebars and you're going to put risers like this, I would recommend doing solid bushings or at least the poly bushings. These are just the soft rubber ones, and believe me, they move. So if you're going to do them, if you're going to switch it out, that's what I recommend. Now, what you want to do is, for this is the 6, I got the 6-inch risers, right? 6-inch risers with just a regular old tracker bar. And honestly, for it, just the way that you're sitting and the way that the bars feel, you want it to feel kind of like, in my opinion, this is my opinion, don't, you know, kill me for this, but if, in my opinion, you want it to feel like a dirt bike, you know what I'm saying? You want it to feel something small, you want it to feel like a light bike, and honestly, this handlebar setup is what gives you the most comfort. So you got the tracker bar, which you could go with any tracker bar, any brand. Built Well is a pretty good one. Go with any of them, and then go with the 6-inch risers. 6-inch risers, 8-inch risers, whatever's easier for the taller dudes, shorter dudes, you know what I'm saying? So when I first got these had 2.5-inch risers, so like right here, and it was too low for me, honestly. And like this, it feels super comfortable, especially when you're up, and that's exactly when you want to be comfortable. So we're at that point, right? Now that I'm telling you those 3 things are exactly what you need to be able to wheelie this easily, right? Suspension, seat, bars. Let's get into all the cosmetic and all the look cool Dyna boys, I guess, Dyna bros, whatever, Harley East Coasting peoples. Let's get into all that stuff. Let's go. Okay, guys, I almost forgot. I know I told you guys the 3 things, which is the bars, the seat, the suspension. However, how could I forget the most important thing? So let's add 4 things, okay? The 4 most important things you need. Now, seat, suspension, bars, and this. This is the Elite Motorsports. Boop. Sorry. Elite Mototech, right? This is the Elite Mototech. Now, this is a 2-finger clutch. So, this is not with the clutch cable or anything like that. Now, this is not with the clutch cable or anything like that. This is just the 2-finger, so it's just this piece itself. However, this thing is going to make you, look at this, like you could literally pull this in with 1 finger. Now, if you own a Harley or if you've ever ridden a Harley, you know that these goddamn clutches, for some reason, are like super hard to pull in. So, I know you're going to have to 4-finger them if you have the full thing, just like this. If you have the full handle, right, you're going to have to 4-finger. Now, if you do this, you could 2-finger, 1 finger, and look at how light that is. I mean, like, look how light this is. So, the reason I have this is because when you are wheeling, to make it easy for yourself, right, you could just grab it like this, and this is a 2-finger one. However, they do make a 1-finger, so it's even shorter, or they make a little bit longer one, depending on what you like. Except, I did a 2-finger so that when I'm riding regular, I can just 2-finger it, right? And then when I'm ready to wheelie, I can just hold the end of the grip, right? Boop, hold the end of the grip, grab it here, and this way you can just fit 1 finger, dump it, and this way you still have a nice grip on the goddamn thing. So, unless you want Popeye freaking forearms, right? And you want to be able to just keep pumping and you want to feel like you're going to the gym, then yeah, leave the good old stock Harley one. But if you want something easy, then go with this. This is not the only one. 1-finger also makes one. However, this is the Elite. It's honestly not that expensive, and it's very simple to put on. Just because, like I said, it's only this piece. So, you just undo all this stuff. Good old stuff right here. Undo that. And it's just a stock clutch cable. So, stock clutch cable, you don't have to change anything in there. You just take your old one off, put this new one on, slide this thing right in, and that's it. So, even if you're not mechanically inclined, it'll be something you could do. Oh my God, how could I forget the most important thing? Literally, if I had to put this on the list, this is probably top priority right here. So, now, ladies and gentlemen, all this stuff is just to make it look cool. All this stuff just kind of is personal preference. Now, this, right? Your fairing, that's just a personal preference. You do not need a fairing. It just looks cool, in my opinion, obviously. Looks cool. I did that. Change the headlight, you know what I mean? Because you can't just go with the stock headlight. You need to go to, and you want it something bright, you know what I mean? If you're riding at night, you need something bright. You want people to be able to see you. You want to be able to see the road. And if you're wheeling at night, you're not going to be able to see anything. So put a light bar down here, and maybe that'll help you. But the other thing is the intake. Now, of course, we got the good old East Coasting cover on here. However, this is I think this is the Arnold S. Yeah, this is the Arnold S Stage 2 intake. And once again, you do not need this intake. This is just kind of a personal preference for me. I just like it just because obviously the cover, and like, you want to be cool, right? You want to be a cool bro, whatever. So I did that. I added that on there. And then the 2-to-1 exhaust. Now, for performance-wise, yes, the 2-to-1's pretty good. So I would recommend it. However, you don't need this. This is not just, I mean, you could put a different kind of exhaust and kind of run it, no problem. It's just, this is my setup and a lot of other people's setup. And I'm telling you right now, if you know anybody that's into the wheelie game, if you know anybody that's gonna kind of build their bike to look like it's about a wheelie, this is the exact setup they'll have. They'll have the fairing, they'll have the Arnold S intake, they'll have the 2-to-1 exhaust, the Saddleman for sure, the bars exactly like that. And like I said, that's all just preference. However, now let's get into the cool thing on this bike, which is my favorite part of the whole thing. And that is my beautiful scrape plate. So I got a scrape bar on here, and only because obviously when you're wheeling, you kind of start to get bored of going up so high. And because these fenders hang down so low, you end up kind of being limited to how far back you could go. And if you know about wheeling Harleys, what you end up doing with these fenders is you end up tacoing them, and that is not what you want to do. So what happens is it kind of, you know, ends up scraping on the ground. If you don't have one of these, you scrape the fender and it ends up folding and whatnot, and that can cause you to fly off. And I'm sure that is the last thing you want to do on a Harley. You do not want to fly off. You want to stay on this bad boy. So if you are getting kind of better at wheelies and you think it's time to step it up, you think it's time to, you know, you want to be able to go further back once you're doing your wheelies, maybe you're trying to go fully 12 o'clock, I recommend doing this, which is pretty simple. You just cut the fender so you could decide how far back you want to go, right? And obviously I ended up just doing it where the tail light used to be, because most people, when they start wheeling, they just scrape the tail light right off, and that's kind of what I did. So I would just recommend kind of cutting it up to your choice, because there's a lot of people who could cut this way further back, like back here, but that's not for me yet, because obviously I can't go that high. But this is where I put the little scrape plate, and see, it's been there. We've been up there, but it's pretty simple. Just weld a little, you know, bracket there, and then just put this scrape bar right on. Go to Scrape City, order that bar, and next thing you know, you'll be out here scraping. So that's pretty much that. Before we end this one, I want to kind of get into why I chose the Sportster over a Dyna. Now, this was my first Harley that I wanted to start wheeling. Now, I've never wheelied a Harley. I wasn't sure how it was going to be to wheelie a Harley. So I wanted to choose something that was smaller. Now, the reason what I mean by smaller is that this tank is a lot smaller, thinner than a Dyna tank. And I know, yes, everyone you might know wheelies Dynas, and everyone you know with a Harley talks shit about Sportsters. However, this is a great learning platform, which is why I bought it. So if you want something nimble, which is, you know, obviously a lighter bike, this is a lot lighter than the Dynas. I ended up going with this thing. I wanted something I could move around, something I could just toss around and kind of learn. So I'm glad I made that choice. I was able to learn on this thing, and I think that it definitely helped. So I think now that I can kind of wheelie this thing, I could probably just get on a Dyna, go and wheelie that thing as well. But like I said, we learned from the Grom, then we moved on to the Sportster, and now we're here. So if you are trying to get into wheeling Dynas, wheeling Harleys, wheeling anything, I would recommend starting small, because why not, right? So you got to start small, then go big. And honestly, these are cheaper, way cheaper than Dyna, so it's going to be cheaper for you to fix it. So if you're worried about dropping it, I would go with a Sportster. And that's kind of just my opinion. If you are one of those guys who's like, yo, fuck that, I'm just going to go something big, I want to go something huge, I want to start with the Dynas, then forget the Dynas. I want to start with a road glide, street glide, whatever, then yeah, sure, that's cool too. But this is just how I did it. That's my opinion. And yeah, so I mean, it's cheap. So that wraps this video up. And before we leave, before this video is over, I'm going to tell you guys one thing. Yes, I know we are talking about wheeling Harleys. Yes, I know we are talking about wheeling bikes and whatnot, riding, doing all these Larrys and whatnot. However, please, please, please go put your helmet on and go buy yourself a full face helmet. Don't go with those mushrooms. Don't go with those half. And don't worry about people thinking, oh my God, you don't look cool because you got a helmet on a Harley. You know what doesn't look cool? When your skin's on the goddamn pavement. So please go buy yourself a freaking helmet. Go put your gear on. Go ride safe, or as safe as you can. And as always, make sure you guys like, comment, share, subscribe, all the other good stuff. And see you on the next one.